which I'm pleased to be here today announcing a further revision in support measures that the government is providing for renewables electricity generation. We've engaged in a series of updates of what's known as the REFIT scheme, the support scheme we have in place for renewable energy, and having announced a number of weeks ago a major package in the ocean energy area, 2 weeks ago a significant development in the biomass area. Today we're in the wind area and in development of offshore wind as what we see crucial untapped energy resource that we can actually develop here in Ireland and use to provide greater energy security for the country, to help reduce our emissions, and also in the long run provide us the best security against increasing fossil fuel prices, both gas and oil. The scheme is similar, the price support, our intention is similar in scope to what's available internationally. In Germany, in England, a number of other countries now looking to tap into this renewable energy resource. There are real advantages in tapping into offshore wind in terms of very strong, consistent wind resource, particularly in Ireland. There are, obviously, it's beneficial in terms of planning, in terms of other regulatory ways. If we can tap into this, there's a huge potential resource that we can actually generate. So it's opening up an untapped resource where the potential, when the technology becomes standardized, becomes mature, then there's a huge resource available to us. The support price we're looking at is some 140 euros per megawatt hour. We're also, I suppose, today announcing another detail as part of this overall process of ongoing implementation of energy policy, that we're working with the authorities in Scotland and in Northern Ireland on a very detailed, extensive feasibility study on the development of an offshore grid in connecting up Scotland, Northern Ireland and the Republic. And then I suppose with the thinking that will connect with what the European Union is starting to look at now, is an offshore grid across Europe. And that, we believe, offers huge potential to provide a wind resource that is more constant, less variable, because we can connect up various areas together with new cable technology. You get, if the wind is not blowing in one area, it is more likely to be blowing in another. And by connecting all those areas up, you get, as I said, huge benefits in terms of stability of wind resource that you can turn to. I was out recently on a still cold day looking out from Ballymoney Beach to see those turbines turning, because out at sea that wind works in a different way to onshore. So we know it works. It's difficult, it's a harsh environment, but it works. It's up to the EU companies to kind of respond now and come up with their plans in terms of how quickly they might want to develop offshore wind resources. But I think the opportunity and the urgency is clear. The opportunity in terms of, as I said, providing this clean, continuous, cheaper, sustainable local fuel, and also the urgency because we have to respond, and I think we have to respond in a very positive way to the way the European Union Commission is leading and saying we're actually going to reduce our emissions to set a lead internationally, and doing that does require us to bring on our renewable energy resources. So I hope within a short number of years we'll start to see projects developed. It's going to be difficult to get the resources, but I prefer to be in the Irish Sea than out in the Baltic, 100 kilometres out, which is where the German companies have to operate. I prefer to operate in Ireland where we've shown that we can already do this than elsewhere. So I'm confident that the industry here can actually take this lead and run with it towards developing very significant resources. Offshore wind, it will only become an issue, as it says, as the volumes become very large, and even in those circumstances, you would see onshore wind compensating for increased costs. So we do need to develop our onshore wind supplies. Our study has shown we need to develop something like 6,000 megawatts of wind. Most of that will be onshore. In the time scale that we're looking to develop here as offshore wind increases, we have to expect that inflation, the cost of fossil fuels will be more expensive. So by the time you actually, the experience in Germany and other countries where they pay very similar high kind of support prices, is that actually in energy you have to think long term. In the 5 or 10 years it took to generate, to actually get that volume up, the fossil fuel price had increased, so it actually wasn't as significant a subsidy. and also that they created jobs, like 200,000 jobs in their instances. So it's a long-term bet by government to say this is an area where we want to create jobs, where we want to cut back our dependence on fossil fuel, where we're providing a hedge against high fossil fuel or volatile fossil fuel prices. So on all those bases, I say this supports, this protects, this actually develops our low carbon, more efficient economy. There's a tight timeline here to get the resources. There's a very limited, this is a very specialist area where there's only a certain type of shipping, a certain type of engineering available. As I said, we will be significantly below the UK price, support price, closer to some of the European ones. Much below, actually, probably below most of them actually, because as I said, we do have a better resource here. But it is, I would hope, in the right ballpark. It's a difficult assessment, but we believe it is the right level. The test will be whether we can draw an investment, whether we can get the resources here. I believe we will, because I think we have an actual an industry here which is ready to go. We have a government and a transmission operator, a market system that is transparent, that is fair, and that is efficient. I think in those circumstances, and I wouldn't restrict it to, I would announce the Irish companies developing this resource and developing expertise that they can then apply elsewhere.